Hello everyone. Good evening. I hope I am audible to you guys. And since the time crosses us, so we'll start. I hope others will join along the way. As you may already know, today's session is on no code and actually low code platforms. We will be going through an introduction to no code and low code platforms and go through some important points along these two type of platforms, and then also I will be showing you a very short and simple demonstration of using a no code platform, and also you will be also engaging in some activities for you all to get a step in starting this no code low code platforms in future. There may be people who already have an idea about no code low code platforms, but assuming that it is not like that, let's go from the down level. I mean, like the bottommost level, and get the theories to our head, and what is all about this no code low code platforms, and do some quick demonstrations and some activities so that you can get an idea how these things are working. So before we move ahead, I will give you a brief introduction about myself. So, my name is Mathishi Adya Dissanayake, and I'm currently working as an assistant lecturer at the Faculty of Computing at Sri Lanka Institute of Information Technology. So, I'll be serving as your resource person for today. And yes, so I graduated from SLEIT, and I'm currently reading for my master's in data science and artificial intelligence from University of Moratuwa. So that's briefly about myself, and yes, let's go ahead. Before moving into today's session, today's workshop is about low code and no coding programming, and let me see. Okay. Today's session is about low code and no code programming. This introduction to AI and machine learning, web development, basic electronics and Arduino programming. All these sessions are already done and delivered to you. And we are also planning to come up with introduction to robotics and rapid mechanical prototyping with 3D printing. These are the topics which are planned to be covered in the upcoming workshop. So that's a brief overline or the plan which we're going all through all these sessions, and the plan which is planned to the upcoming workshops. So today we are going through the low code and no code programming, or no code and low code platforms. That is what we are covering today. So now we are moving to the today's content. Creating without code. As I told you, so we are going to dive through this as we are all taking the first steps into no code and low code platforms. Actually, I'm going to start this by asking you a small question. And I know the answer too. So obviously, it will be an yes, because the question is, have you ever used YouTube, Instagram, a game like Minecraft, or Google Sheets, Google Classroom, whatsoever? Yes, right? I mean, for everybody, at least one of these platforms you have used. So actually, because most of these apps are apps which we are using almost every day. Okay. You're using these apps or softwares and software platforms, but if we think, what do all these apps or softwares have in common? That is actually all of these apps were created with code. Okay, so I hope you all know what a code is. So code is the way that we are communicating or instructing a computer, telling it what to do, because computer is a machine, and we can't talk or communicate or give instructions to the machine like we do with people, because they do not understand the way that we talk directly, right? So because of that, we have this separate specific type of codes, or the language which we use to tell computers what to do, right? That is why we use codes to instruct the machines and to tell them what to do. So it is the language that powers all of these apps or the games, websites, even your smart watches, smart home, all these devices, all of these things are powered with this coding or else these programming which we do to instruct them on what should be done, right? It is literally everywhere. So that is something that is, almost bounded with everything that we are doing in at present, because almost everything is now involved with a software, or because it is very rare that we do something without using an app or like a software or like a machine. It's very very rare that we do something without using that, so it's like almost everywhere. So all these things which are revolving around our lives are actually created using codes, okay, or programming languages. So but if you let me check the chat, there are some messages. Okay. Anyways, so all of these smart devices, all of these apps, softwares, everything that you are using, okay, now we know that all of them are created as results of programming languages or programming, computer programming. So, if we talk about the evolution of these programming languages, okay, few decades ago, or in like the initial stages of these programming languages, it was just machine code. So if you have some idea about programming languages which are currently used, they are actually high level because they are actually much more similar or closer to the human language, right? But in the earlier stages, okay, in the initial stages of this programming or computer evolutions, the people used to code using the machine language. So just keep in your mind as a machine language is a programming type, a type of a programming language which is closer to the machine, not to the human language. So it was actually hard. Not everyone could do that. People were very should people who actually could do this machine coding was not that frequent. Like it is not frequent as the amount of people that we find at present with these high level programming languages. Okay, so it was hard, it was rare, and starting from these machine languages, machine codes, eventually people moved to the high-level programming languages which we are using right now, which are just Python, Java, C, C++, all these high-level languages. We call them high-level because you can see if you look at a Python code or a C++ code, you see all these codes have English language, right? Because English language is a natural language where normal people use. So those words or those abbreviations from those that English language is used inside these high level programming languages. So that is how the evolution of programming languages happen. Okay, but even though before, before some a few decades ago, it was very rare, and it was something that only developers or scientists could do. Right now, it is not the case. It is actually very different. Okay, people can build websites in minutes, and they can create mobile apps and automate whatever the task, like the school or business or teaching task. All these things can be built and developed in minutes. Okay, so it has come to that level from being very rare and very difficult with using machine codes to doing these things or developing all these softwares apps by minutes. It has converted, it has transformed. Okay, so I hope someone is having the microphone unmuted. So so that has happened, that has transformed in that manner. Okay, so whatever the software.
ආයතන මේවට පැකේජ් එකක් හදන්න යන්න එපා. පැටලට් එකත් එතෙන්ට දාලා ලෝඩ් කරගන්න පුළුවන්. එකම තැන දාගන්න. නැත්නම් ලින්ක් කියලා ෆෝල්ඩර් එකක් හදලා දාගත්තත් තමයි. ඒකට. එතකොට ඉමේජ් එකට වෙනම පැකේජ් එකක් හදන්න එපා. ඒ ඉන්ටර් පාත් එක තියෙන තැනටම ඉමේජ් එක දාලා ඒ පාත් එක ගන්න ඩිරෙක්ට් පාත් එක ගන්න. දැන් ඒක කොහොමද ඔයාලගේ ප්‍රොජෙක්ට් එකට වඩා ෆෝල්ඩ් එකනේ බලන්නේ. ෆෝල්ඩ් එකේ ඔයාලා හරියට කෝඩ් කරලා තියෙනවා නම්.
Give me a minute, I'm trying to mute this person. Okay, who is this? Anyways, so okay, let's move forward. Hmm. So that is how it has evolved. එතකොට high level language මේ වෙද්දි මේ කාලෙ වෙද්දි දැන් වෙද්දි use කරන programming languages ඇත්තටම ඉස්සර කාලේ programming languages it introduce කරපුම කාලේ ආපු level එකට it's not වඩා ගොඩක් වෙනස්. It is much more similar to our normal natural languages which is English. So it's like that. So it has changed. Okay, so that is how programming languages evolved. But right now it is not the even case. Okay, now we are in a stage where so now this evolution in programming happened. Okay, people, and you know that how much the demand for this the demand for the skill of programming increased in a massive amount. Okay, and like even at present people with software skills, with programming skills, they have very high demand because that is a that is an brilliant skill to process, because almost everything around us, around humans, are now moving towards, actually almost everything is now moved to these automated systems and softwares, apps, all these systems. Digitalization has surrounded all the lives of these people. So because of that, people who people who possess these programming skills, who can programming skills are highly in demand, because they can support, or they can contribute in developing these digital platforms. Okay, because of that, it became, and it is still, a very high demand skill. So but now there's a small deviation. Then programming වලට තියෙන demand එක, එහෙම නැත්නම් code කරන්න තියෙන skill එකට තිබ්බ demand එක තාමත් තියෙනවා. And people used to run behind it, and people used to grab and take that talent, and you develop themselves in order to be fluent with programming. But now there's a small deviation, because there is a way now where people can build or develop these systems even without code. Now that is what we are going to discuss today. Okay, so even though programming was needed to everything, all these digital platforms were developed as results of programming. But now what if I told you, you don't always need to learn programming to create apps, games, or automations, or any of these digital systems? Not any, most. Okay, so that is the place where these no code and low code platforms come in. Okay, so what has happened is, now even people who do not have these programming skills, they are also now capable of developing these digital systems as per their requirements. Okay, they might have not even written a single line of code, but using these no code and low code systems, they can develop mobile apps, personal portfolios, business websites, and automate their tasks, and games, whatever, all these digitalizable tasks or digital platforms, they can be now built using these programming languages. They can now be developed or created without using programming, only using these no code and low code platforms. That is what we are going to discuss today. So now you will actually see how powerful it is. How powerful these platforms are, because programming was playing a major role behind all these digital platforms, and now there's a type of platforms which can do the same thing but without using programming. So definitely they should be powerful, right? Because programming වලින් අපි කරේ මාරම powerful දෙයක්, because ගොඩාක් දේවල් digital solutions කියන්නේ ලෝකෙ ගොඩාක් වෙනස් කරපු දෙයක්. එතකොට ඒ දේවල් වලට අපි හැමදාම කරේ using programming. හැබැයි programming use කරන්නේ නැතුවත් දැන් ඒ solutions දෙන්න පුළුවන් කියන්නේ එහෙම දෙන්න පුළුවන් වෙන්න support කරන platforms තමයි no code low code platforms කියන්නේ. So they must be really powerful. So that is what we are going to see. And so let's begin by understanding what exactly these no-code platforms are, why are they used, and what are the type of people who are using them, and for what kind of different tasks we can use these platforms. Let's go through all these things to understand. So I'm moving to the next slide. So for today, we will be first going through the no-code platforms and then low-code, and then Sapphire is the platform that I'm going to discuss with you all today. It is a no-code platform. Uh, so and then we will go through this live demo of the Sapphire task, and then you will be also given a small activity, and then we can wrap up with our Q&A. So introduction to no-code platforms. So now we've been discussing this a little bit already. So, what are no-code platforms? Okay, so these are the platforms which are actually tools, digital tools, which allow people to build apps, websites, workflows, and many more digital solutions without writing any programming code. So now we are talking about no-code platforms. Okay, so keep in your mind there are two types: no-code and low-code. Now we are talking about no code. And in no code, there's no need to write any programming code. Okay. So instead of writing code, you can just drag and drop like visual components. Okay. Just like buttons, forms, images, or logic blocks. And the platform itself does the hard coding in the background for you. You are not thinking about coding. You are not writing any programming code, and you are just implementing the logic or designing the logic using these visual components, which you can just drag and drop and create like a structure. Okay, so and keep in your mind, even though they are made for beginners, even professional developers use these tools because they are very quickly doable, and it is very easy to test ideas, and you can build demonstrations, and also you can automate repetitive tasks. So because of all these things, even professional developers use these no code platforms. So we were talking about the definition. So keep in your mind, they are digital tools which you need to use any programming code to develop any kind of a digital solution. Okay, so instead of typing lines of code, users can just drag and drop elements or use visual interfaces to create functioning projects. Okay, so as I told you, they are developed for non-programmers, but they are very frequently used by even professionals for their required tasks. So keep in your mind, no code platforms is something like that. Okay, so I included these three examples for you all to understand what kind of things are doable. I mean, these are just three, but there are thousands of possible things which are doable using these no-code platforms. So now look at this first example: dragging buttons and text boxes to build a mobile app. So if you don't, I mean, I don't know whether you have an idea about this, but if we consider about developing a mobile app. Okay, now you obviously you know this Instagram, Facebook, all these mobile apps that you use in your phone, they are developed by mobile app developers. Right. Okay, so there are special developing environments which are used to do the coding which is needed to develop mobile apps. As an example, there are IDEs like Android Studio. So Android Studio is an environment which developers use to create Android mobile apps. Okay, so there you have to use Java or Kotlin, those kind of programming languages do the implement the logic of the mobile app. To do the you have to do the coding. Okay, there are also in Android Studio there are also drag and drop components. You can simply drag and drop and just create the UI UX design of your mobile app pages. But other than that, other than this UI UX part, to implement the logic of the mobile app, you have to do the coding, you have to write code. Okay, so but now using these no code platforms, by simply dragging buttons and text boxes, you can simply create a mobile app. You don't have to write code, so that is possible. Okay, and the second one. So first one is about developing a solution, software solution. So second one, automating emails and when someone submits a form. Imagine now, I mean, before the introduction of these no code and low code platforms to the society, what happened was like you had software systems and all these automations or email sendings, everything you had to develop by writing programming codes. But right now, it is also possible these kind of automative tasks, repetitive tasks can be automated using these no-code platforms. And creating a basic game by snapping together logic blocks. It's like just, dragging and dropping components and designing. Okay, you are not writing code, and all these mobile apps, automating automative tasks, and then developing games, basic games. All these things are doable using these no-code platforms. So now, why actually these things are this much important? Okay, I mean, people were using programming languages and they were actually doing coding and developing digital solutions. And now they have introduced these no-code platforms and low-code platforms. So why are they important, or why are they better than using programming codes? I mean, you can't exactly say one is better than the other. Okay, it depends. It depends on the requirement. It depends on the preference of the person. It depends on the type of solution that you are trying to build, right? The type of digital solution that you are trying to build. So based on those type of lot of factors, it depends what is better, because it you can't give an answer like, okay, no, have, like learning no code platforms and low code platforms is better than learning programming. No, you can't say it like that. Okay, it's just it depends on your requirement, on the place that you want to go. And it actually depends on the all these requirements and the criteria. Otherwise, you can't just point out one type and say, okay, this is better than the other one. Okay, but here let's just see some of the factors which we can say that no code platforms are better in some of the situations. So the first one is accessibility. Why are they important? So we are actually talking about not better, actually. Why we are seeing why these no code platforms are better. So there are four factors. There are four factors listed here. The first one is accessibility. Okay, so anyone can build a digital solution without needing coding skills. Now it is accessible to anybody. So that is what we were talking about, right? ඉස්සරම කාලේ machine language වලින් පටන් ගන්නකොට පොඩිම දෙනෙක්ට පුළුවන් වෙලා තිබ්බ programming කියන skill එක. පස්සේ ඒවා high level languages ඇවිල්ලා Python, C++ වගේ programming languages ආවට පස්සේ තව පොඩ්ඩක් ඒවායේ තියෙන accessibility එක හරි ඒවා කරන මිනිස්සු ගාන හරි වැඩි වුණා. And now ඊටත් වඩා දැන් ඒක ඊටත් වඩා වැඩි වෙනවා. මොකද දැන් coding skills නැතුවමත් digital solutions build කරන්න පුළුවන්. So accessibility has improved a lot as a result of introduction of these no code and low code platforms. And then speed. So no code platforms allow fast creation and deployment. දැන් digital software එකක් අපි හැදුවොත්, website එකක් අපි හැදුවොත්, ඒක create කරන්න code කර කර ඒක create කරද්දී all these debugging errors එනවා. ඒවා debug කරන්න ඕනේ, ඒවා fix කරන්න ඕනේ, and or type කරන්න ඕනේ codes, or else to even though to copy and paste from somewhere, you have to think and you have to integrate everything, and then components වෙනම develop කරලා ඒවා ඊට පස්සේ you have to deploy, right? So all of these things require a certain time. But what is different in no code platforms is it actually allows faster creation and deployment than this programming language. Than using programming or coding to develop these digital solutions. And then the third part is cost effectives. It reduces the need for hiring developers. That is one of the key factors, actually, because developers are paid in high amounts. Software engineers and these developers are created in very, very high amounts. So people who hire them to do these developments can reduce that cost by not hiring them, because instead of that they can use these no code and low code platforms to get their digital solutions created. So it is cost effective. and then innovation. So, as these digital solutions are now creatable without using programming, it empowers students, teachers, or even entrepreneurs to create apps and websites and these digital solutions on their own, because it motivates them, because now they need to know programming or to write all these coding lines that is not needed, but instead they can use these platforms. So it motivates these different categories of people to create these digital solutions on their own as per their requirements. So these are some of the factors that we can tell why these no code and low code platforms are actually important. So now we are going to look at some of the common types of these no-code platforms. ඒ කියන්නේ දැන් no-code platforms කියලා දේ අපි දැන් now you know what a no-code platform is. Okay. දැන් මේ no-code platforms තියෙන එක types. There are different types of no-code platforms. That means there are different types of tasks which are doable using these no-code and low-code platforms. Let's see what they are. So I have included 5 types, and also I have included some of the platforms examples for these platforms, so you can actually search and get yourself familiarized with these things. And if you are interested, you can choose a certain platform and go to the depth. So first one is mobile app builders. Okay, so that means the first type is the type of no-code platforms which we can use to create mobile apps. So I explained to you before. In previous days, developing of mobile apps were done using these mobile app developing integrated environments and integrated development environments, and people used to code and implement the logic using programming languages which were dedicated to these mobile app developments, and it was a whole different and separate thing. Okay, there were different, there are people who are specifically trained to develop mobile apps, like, and we call them as mobile app developers. Okay, so but now you can create mobile apps using these no code platforms which are actually mobile app builders. So there are 2 examples, and you can just develop them by using drag and drop interfaces. And you can see the MIT App Inventor. So it is a beginner friendly Android app creator. Now we talked. I explained to you how Android Studio, which is an IDE used to create these mobile apps, and how in those environments Java and Kotlin like programming languages were used to implement the logics of these mobile apps. But now to create those kind of Android apps, you can use these no code platforms. That is possible. Okay. The second type, website builders. So other than the mobile apps, the websites. So there are that is the second type of no-code platform. So the second type is the type of no-code platforms which are possible, which are capable of creating websites without using any coding. Okay, so now when it comes to developing a website, if you already know, like HTML, CSS, these are the basic components, core components of programming languages which are needed to develop a website, right? From HTML, we design the web page, and then from CSS, we style our web page. Okay, so all these HTML and CSS languages are used to create websites. In earlier days, even right now they are used, but now you can use these website builders which are no code platforms to develop this website without using HTML and CSS. So you don't have to write HTML codes, you don't have to write CSS to style your web pages. Without doing that, you can create them very nicely in the way that you want, with using these no code platforms. And then the automation tool. So the one that we are the Zapier, which is the one that we are going to discuss today, is an automation tool. What is meant by that? So now we discuss there are no code platforms which can be used to develop mobile apps and then to create websites. And the third type is now there if there is a repetitive task, okay, which is needed to be done as per requirement in a school or an academic in a business context, maybe an academic context, maybe whatever the context it is, okay. So if there are some repetitive tasks, okay, uh, it is easy to get them done if they are automated, right? එකම දෙයක් රිපීට් කර කර වෙන්න අවශ්‍යතාවයක් තියෙනවා නම් කියන්නේ ටාස්ක් එකක් රිපීට් කර කර කරන්න අවශ්‍යතාවයක් තියෙනවා නම් ඒක එකම දේ ගොඩ පාරක් කරනවට වඩා ඒ එකම දේ අපිට ඔටෝමැටිකලි කරන්න පුළුවන් විදියක් හදාගන්න පුළුවන් නම් it's easier, right? So to do that you have to have automation tools. So automation also was done using coding. But now you can do it using these no-code platforms. And then the fourth type is the game builders. So there are no-code platforms which you can use to create games without coding, just using block-based visual programming. So it is like what do you call it is like designing the logic of your game by just ordering the building blocks. It's exactly like that. You can just order the blocks which are responsible to different tasks and implement the logic for your game. And you don't have to do coding. So that is also possible. And then design and UI tools. So you can use what do you call you can use no code platforms again to do this UI and UX designing and to do this graphical designing, everything. So that is also possible. Okay, so those are some of the types of no code platforms, and by that you should be able to understand the amount of things which are doable and which are addressed by these no code platforms. So now who uses these no code platforms, right? So these are some of the types. Students use them, and then teachers or educators, and entrepreneurs and small business owners, but not only them. Okay, even professional developers use these no code platforms. So we discussed about it. මේ වගේ පොඩි දේවල් වලට ඒක යූස් කරන කට්ටිය විතරක්ම නෙමෙයි ප්‍රොෆෙෂනල් ඩෙවලොපර්ස්ලත් ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ ප්‍රොඩක්ට්ස් ටෙස්ට් කරන්න ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ ලොජික් එකක් හරිද කියලා බලා ගන්න software එකක් හදන්න කලින් ඒ software එකේ process එක එහෙම නැත්නම් ඒ task එකක් මොකක් හරි function එකක් හරියට ඒගොල්ලන් define කරලා ඒ අවශ්‍ය විදිහට ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ input එක අවශ්‍ය විදිහට දුන්නාම ඒගොල්ලන් expect කරන output එකකින් එනවද කියලා බලා ගන්න ඒගොල්ලන් මේ no code platforms use කරනවා. මොකද ඒක හරියම ඉක්මනට develop කරන්න පුළුවන්, ඉක්මනට බලන්න පුළුවන් result එක හරිද බැරිද කියලා කෝඩ් කරනවා වගේ නෙමෙයි. ඒතකොට ඒගොල්ලන්ට පුළුවන් no code platform එකක් use කරලා ඒක test කරලා then get into their development using programming languages. So ඒ වගේ දේවල් වලට even professional people use these no code platforms to get their digital solutions implemented. Okay, so but let's go through these four examples um, which are like categories of people who use these no-code platforms to some of their day-to-day activities. So as an example, students. So if they need to develop apps for school projects, and if it is allowed, they can use no-code platform. So that is actually happening around the world. And then teachers. So imagine if educators and teachers can automate these repetitive tasks that they have to do during teaching or these learning tasks. If they can do these repetitive tasks in an automatic way, it is very easier for them, right? It is easier than doing them manually all over and over again. So they can use these no-code platforms for automating of these things which are repetitive if they do them manually. Okay, so if they want to automate something which should be done repetitively rather than doing them manually repeated times, they can use these no-code platforms to create automated tasks or functions as per their requirement. So as an example, if they want to do some grading, ඒ grading එකක් කරනවා නම් ලකුණු දාලා ඒ ලකුණු වල අන්තිමට final result එක ගන්න if they want to perform some steps, right? මොකක්යි steps ටිකක් perform කරන්න ඕනේ. ඒතකොට ඒ steps ටික repeatedly ළමයි 40කට 50කට 50 පාරක් කරන්නට වඩා manually ඒක automate කරලා මොකක් හරි solution එකක් හදාගන්න පුළුවන් නම්, right? It is easier. So ඒ වගේ දේවල් වලට they can use these no code platforms and automate these things very easily. And then entrepreneurs to build product prototypes. That is something which I explained, I mean, similar to what I explained with these professional developers as well. So, මොකක් හරි digital product එකක් ඒගොල්ලන්ට හදන්න ඕන. digital solution එකක්. අපි හිතමු website එකක් කියලා මොකක් හරි මොකක් හරි අපි හිතමු business place එකකට website එකක් හදන්න ඕනේ. එතකොට මේ website එකේ ඒ website එක හදලා deploy කරලා හරිම coding හරිම විදියට ඒක develop කරන්න කලින් හරිම විදියට නෙමෙයි. programming language එකක් use කරලා ඒක develop කරන්න කලින් ඒකට prototype එකක් ඒගොල්ලන්ට develop කරලා බලන්න පුළුවන්. no code platforms use කරලා. එතකොට no code platforms use කරලා prototype එක build කරලා ටග් ගාලා develop කරන්න පුළුවන්. මොකද no code platforms are faster and ඒක ටග් ගාලා develop කරලා ඒක success ද නැද්ද කියන එක ඒ prototype එකෙන් check කරලා they can go to the development of their website using programming. So that is one thing. And then small business owners, they can set up their websites and automate customer emails. Look at that. So small business owner කෙනෙක්ට developers ලව hire කරලා ඒගොල්ලන්ට සල්ලි දීලා එතනට ලොකු cost එකක් allocate කරලා website එක create කරනවට වඩා මේ no code platform එකක් use කරලා ටග් ගාලා quickly තමන්ගේ requirement එක දාලව තමන්ගේ functions තමන්ට අවශ්‍ය විදියට website එකක් හදාගත්තා නම් it's much easier, right? So ඒ වගේ දේවල් වලට මේ no code platforms use කරනවා. And then automating customer emails. Imagine මොකක් හරි order එකක් place කරාට පස්සේ customer ගේ email එකට order එකේ status එක ගැන යන්න ඕනේ email එකක්. එතකොට ඒක manually එකකනට email කරනවට වඩා, right? ඔයාට ඒ automate කරන එක කරගන්න පුළුවන් නම් email එක automatically යන්න. හැබැයි ඒකත් කරන්න පුළුවන් නම් coding නැතුව programming language එකක් use කරලා code එකක් ගහන්න නැතුව ඒ දේ කරගන්න පුළුවන් විදියක් තියෙනවා නම් how better is that, right? How much easier is that for them? So that is why these people use these no-code platforms and why they can actually use no-code platforms to get their tasks done easily and conveniently than going to this program-based, or I mean, not program-based even. I mean, rather than going to develop all these digital solutions using programming or coding, they can simply use these no-code platforms to get their relevant requirements, required solutions satisfied. So now these are some of the examples. Now look at this. Mobile quiz app. Now, so students can create a quiz app for practice tests and users choose answers and receive a score at the end. So what මේ හැම දෙයකින්ම තේරෙන්න ඕන දේ තමයි. Now, look how easy these things are. So because ඉස්සර now back then students could not do this that easily, right? I mean, they had to have these programming skills and they had to have these programming knowledge and experience and practice in order to develop something like this. But now creating quiz apps, automating, even not only educators, students ලට ඕන නම් දෙයක් automate කරලා මොකක් හරි දෙයක් easily digital solution එකක් හදාගන්න ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ පොඩි task එකකට they can use these no code platforms, right? They don't have to go to this programming or coding, but instead they can use these platforms. So it is easier. And then personal websites. Now that is something very important because students showcase hobbies, blogs, or project portfolios. Now ඔබලා දන්නවා දැක්කලා තියෙනවද දන්නේ like there are jobs or there are some job roles where actually people create portfolios of their projects or the things that they have done. It is like a website. It's like a personal website which shows the recruiter the work that person has done. Okay. So එක වෙබ්සයිට් එකක් වගේ දෙයක් තියෙනවා. තමන් කවුද? තමන්ගේ educational qualifications, තමන් මේ වෙද්දී තමන්ගේ status එක මොකද්ද? And also තව මොනවද කරලා තියෙන දේවල්? තමන් මොනවද job එකට apply කරනවා නම් ඒකට අදාළව කරලා තියෙන projects. ඒතර මේ හැමදේම දාලා හදන websites තියෙනවා. We call them as project portfolios or personal portfolios. So personal websites. So imagine how easy it is to now create them because of these no code platforms. Just look at it. Because ඉස්සර එහෙම ඕනනම් again they had to use this coding and go through all these things which we discussed before. But right now you can do it on your own. Even if you in your future, if you are going to when you are going to apply into these jobs and all, if you want to have your personal websites which defines you, which tells about you, which shows your portfolio, you can create on your own without the interference of any programming by using these no-code platforms. So no-code platforms එච්චර ලේසි කරලා තියෙනවා ඒ වගේ ගොඩක් important. ඒ වගේ දැන් එහෙම personal website එකක් හරි project portfolio එකක් කියන්නේ ලොකු important critical දෙයක් because that decides the impression that you give to the recruiter when you are going to go for a job, right? So imagine ඒ වගේ important critical දෙයක් මෙච්චර ලේසියෙන් කරගන්න පුළුවන් නම් how important that is. That is why actually these no-code platforms are very impactful and very important. මෙන්න මේ වගේ දේවල් නිසා. කියන්නේ ඉස්සර මේ වගේ critical දෙයක් කරගන්න වෙන්න ඕන තරම් මහන්සියක් හරි වෙන්න ඕන තරම් dedication එකක් හරි time එකක් හරි දැන් දෙන්න අවශ්‍ය නැහැ thanks to these no code and low code platforms. Okay. And then Zapier automation. So it is another example. So a teacher automatically receives an email when a student submits a Google form. Look at that. So teacher කෙනෙක් distribute කරන Google form එක ළමයින් submit කරන්න කියලා. එතකොට ඒ submit කරන හැම වාරයකදීම email එකක් යාර එන විදියට එයාලා හදා ගන්න පුළුවන් simple automation flow එකක් using these no code platforms. You don't have to code anything. කෝඩ් එකක් කරලා සිස්ටම් එකක් හදලා එච්චර දේවල් කරගන්න කිසිම උවමනාවක් නැහැ. ඔයගලන් daily use කරන මේ Google Forms and Google Gmail, Google Forms මේ already existing developed platforms එකකට connect කරලා තමන්ට අවශ්‍ය task එක automate කරගන්න පුළුවන් මේ වෙද්දී codes use කරන්නේ නැතුව. Okay, that is possible. And then another example, Scratch game. So a student creates a maze or quiz game using Scratch blocks. So you can look at that platform as well. Another very interesting and important platform, a no-code platform. Okay, so Scratch, I can remember when I was also learning programming languages for the first time. As in the start, we were asked to develop logics using this platform, Scratch. So ගොක්කයි අපි ප්‍රෝග්‍රෑම් එකක් හැමතිස්සෙම ඩෙවලොප් කරනවා කියන්නේ ඒ ප්‍රෝග්‍රෑම් එක පිටිපස්සේ ලොජික් එකක් තියෙනවා රයිට් ඒ මුලින්ම කෙනෙක්ට පුළුවන් වෙන්න ඕනේ ප්‍රෝග්‍රෑමර් කෙනෙක්ගේ ෆස්ට්ම ටාස්ක් එක තමයි මේ ලොජික් එක අයිඩෙන්ටිෆයි කරගන්න එක. මොකක් හරි ටාස්ක් එකක් වෙනුවෙන් සොලියුෂන් එකක් හදලා සොලියුෂන් එකට අදාළ ලොජික් එක අයිඩෙන්ටිෆයි කරගන්න එක. එතකොට මේ ලොජික් එක අයිඩෙන්ටිෆයි කරගෙන මේ වෙද්දී ඒ ලොජික් එක අයිඩෙන්ටිෆයි කරගත්තොත් ඒ ලොජික් එක ඉම්ප්ලිමන්ට් අපි ලොජික් එක අයිඩෙන්ටිෆයි කරලා ඊට පස්සේ ඒක ඉම්ප්ලිමන්ට් කරන්න තමයි ප්‍රෝග්‍රෑමින් ලැන්ග්වේජ් එකක් යූස් කරලා කෝඩ් එකක් ලියන්නේ. හැබැයි දැන් වෙද්දී ඒ ලොජික් එක අයිඩෙන්ටිෆයි කරගත්තට පස්සේ ඒ ලොජික් එක building blocks වගේ visually drag and drop කරලා you can design the logic or the flow of the logic and අර programming language එකක් use කරලා program කරනවා part එක කරන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. ඒක automatically වෙන විදියට මේ no code platforms වැඩ කරනවා. ඔයා කරන්නේ උඩින් අර logic එකේ flow එක හදන එක විතරයි. And then you as the result you get your website or whatever the digital solution that you are going to implement as the result of this logical flow. So yes, and these are some of the examples that I wanted to discuss to show you the distribution or the diversity of the things which are doable using these no-code platforms. So introduction to low-code platforms. Now, we discussed about no-code platforms. I don't know whether you were able to differentiate this. So, all these things that we discussed relevant to the no-code platforms. Now we will slowly move towards the low-code platforms. There is a difference. There is a major difference between no-code and low-code. I mean, as the names suggest also, it is very easy for you all to also understand what is the difference. So many of the things that we discussed under no-code platforms, they are actually applicable for here as well. But under the discussion for the low-code platforms, let's see what is the difference of these low code platforms from the no code platforms. They are similar but also different. Okay, they are similar but also there's a huge difference. I mean, huge as in like a very significant difference. So let's go through this and understand it. So now you know in no code platforms we did not have to use any programming or any amount of coding. Okay. But here, these applications allow you to do minimal hand coding. Okay. Not like in no code platforms, you can't do coding. Coding is not allowed. But low-code platforms are tools that let users build software applications or digital solutions with minimal hand coding. Minimal කියන්නේ මොකක්ද? පුළුවන් තරම් අඩු. ඒ කියන්නේ අඩුම hand coding use කරලා සොලියුෂන් එකක් ඩෙවලොප් කරන්න. ඒ කියන්නේ කෝඩින් යූස් කරන්නේ නැත්තේම නැහැ. යූස් කරන්න ඕනේ හරිම අඩුවෙන් කෝඩින් යූස් කරලා අර no code platforms වල තියෙන drag and drop option එකක් තියෙනවා. ඒකත් එක්කම පොඩ්ඩක් කෝඩ් කරන්න possibility එක මේගොල්ලන් allow කරනවා in low code platforms. So actually why it is done so? ඇයි එහෙම කරලා තියෙන්නේ? So now look at the second point. Unlike no-code platforms, some level of programming is used. එතකොට no-code platforms වලින් අපි use කරලා digital solution එකක් හදනවා නම් if we are going to create a software product using a software product or a repetitive task automation or like a game whatsoever, if we are doing a development or a creation using no-code platform, we can't we are not allowed to use coding. So ඒගොල්ලන් already දීලා තියෙන logical blocks use කරලා ඒවා drag and drop කරලා ඒ තියෙන implementation වලින් we have to implement our logic, okay, using the given options. Imagine you want to do something more advanced than the given options in these platforms. And you want to do some custom integrations, or you want to fine tune something specifically for your need or for your requirements. In that case, local platforms offer you with the possibility of using programming to do all these advanced logic, custom integrations, or fine tuning behaviors. To do these changes, you can use programming along with those drag and drop components in these low code platforms. ඒක තමා ඩිෆරන්ස් එක no code and low code. no code platform එක කිසිම coding දෙයක් කරන්න ලබ නැහැ. එතකොට ඒගොල්ලන් දීලා තියෙන logical blocks use කරලා අපිට අපේ logic එක implement කරන්න තමයි තියෙන්නේ. එතකොට already develop වෙනවා අපේ digital solution එක. Okay. හැබැයි අපිට දීලා තියෙන logical blocks වලට වඩා එහාට ගිහිල්ලා අපිට අවශ්‍ය requirement එකට අදාළ වේදේ අපිට customize කරගන්න ඕන නම් අපිට තව අපි ආස දෙයක් එතනට integrate කරන්න ඕන නම් and then මොකක් හරි දෙයක් තමන්ගේ requirement එකට අදාළව ඒ software solution එක fine tune කරගන්න ඕන නම් ඊළඟට අපි implement කරන හදන logic එක ගොඩක් advanced logic එකක් නම් අපිට මේ low code platforms more suitable than no code. Because unlike no code platforms, in low code platforms, they allow these programming and you can do these customizations as per you have it inside your head without being limited to the options or the logical blocks which are provided in these no code platforms. Okay. So these platforms are typically used by people with some technical knowledge, such as developers, IT professionals, or advanced students. Why do we say so? Because as we discussed, these low-code platforms are used to implement these advanced logics and then custom integrations and then fine-tuning. එතකොට මේ දේවල් කරලා මේ දේවල් programming use කරලා කරන්න නම් some technical knowledge should be there. Right? Technical knowledge එකක් තියෙන්න ඕනේ. පොඩි knowledge එකක් හරි තියෙන්න ඕනේ. I mean, not exactly minimal knowledge, not a low amount of knowledge, but a considerable technical knowledge should be there to get the use of low code platforms. So that is the difference between no code and low code platforms. So look at this. If we go through the key features of low code platforms, okay, give me a minute. Okay, so if we go through these low code platforms, okay, so key features are visual builders. So drag and drop like no code. ඒ කියන්නේ අර no code platforms එක drag and drop කරලා හදන්න පුළුවන් වගේම අපිට low code platform වලත් ඒ visual builders තියෙනවා. ඒ visual builders වලට අමතරව තමා additionally තමා අර programming use කරලා customize කරන්න පුළුවන් හරි fine tune කරන්න පුළුවන් හරි possibility එකක් තියෙනවා. Okay, so built-in components like forms, buttons, and data sources, and then custom code blocks for logic or API integration. That is what we discussed right now. Okay, and then database support and deployment and hosting tools. So that is something very important actually. So අපි වෙනම coding use කරලා software එකක් develop කරනකොට අපිට හිතන්න ඕන ගොඩාක් components, okay, ගොඩාක් sides collectively address කරලා එහෙම නැත්නම් already taken care of from these low code and no code platforms. Okay, that is why actually deployments and creation of software solutions from these no code and low code platforms are faster and easier. That is one of the reasons. Okay, අපි software එකක් coding use කරලා හදනවට වඩා ඒ තරම් පහළ level එකකට යන්න නැතුව ඒ තරම් down layer එකකට යන්න නැතුව අපිට high level එකකින් හදා ගන්න පුළුවන් software solution එකක් අපේ requirement එකට අදාළ විදියට අපිට requirement එක satisfy වෙන විදියට මේ no code හරි එහෙම නැත්නම් ඊට වඩා customize කරන්න ඕන නම් ඊට වඩා logic එක advance නම් low code platform එකක් use කරලා හරි අපිට ඒක create කරගන්න පුළුවන්. So now, these are some examples for low-code platforms. So, OutSystems, Mendix. So, there are 5 Power Apps, Flutterflow. So, look at this, OutSystems. The purpose is enterprise app development. So, enterprise apps are, again, another very important types of software solutions, digital solutions, and those can be developed using this low-code platform. And then scalable business web and mobile apps can be developed using Mendix, and then powerful visual development plus JS logic app giver, and then Microsoft's platform with code option, Power Apps. So that is another very important and very popular actually kind of a platform. It is a low code platform. So it's a platform by Microsoft, and ඒකෙත් අපිට පුළුවන් ඔය automation කියන්නේ repetitive task automate කරන්න හදන්න පුළුවන් අපිට automative workflows, and it allows coding options as well. And then another mobile app builder with Dart support, Flutterflow. අපි no code platforms යටතේත් අපි කතා කරා mobile app builders තිබ්බා. ඒ වගේම low code platform එකක් තමයි මේක, which the purpose is developing mobile apps. So same as but also a bit different. Who uses low code platforms? Now we discussed who and why and when these no code platforms were usable. Now who uses these low code platforms? Professional developers. Okay, it is understandable, right? So to build apps faster with visual tools. අර අපි කලින් කතා කරා වගේම තමයි. So code එක use කරලා solution එකක් හදනවට වඩා ඉක්මනට හදලා බලන්න පුළුවන්, ඉක්මනට හදලා ඒක test කරන්න පුළුවන්, and ඒ හින්දා ඒ වගේ not only for testing, even to build the app properly also they are using these low code platforms because they are much faster and easier. Tech savvy entrepreneurs. Now that is very actually a very popular thing because customizing workflows. So imagine an entrepreneur needs to automate a certain workflow, okay, of his or her business. එතකොට ඒ වගේ business එකකට workflow එකක් මොකක් හරි දැන් අපි දැන් කලින් කතා කරා example එකක් වගේ අපි හිතමු you need to get orders, and then these orders should be, order details should be uploaded to a certain not up included to a certain Google sheet. And as every time that this Google sheet is getting updated with new data, you should send emails to the relevant owners or relevant clients. So this kind of a workflow can be automated without doing them manually. ඒ කියන්නේ එන වෙලාවට order අපි Google Sheet එකකින් අප්ඩේට් කරන වාරයක් පාස ඔටෝමැටික් ආයි ඊමේල්ස් දදා ඒක ඔටෝමැටික් ඒක මැනුවලි කරනවට වඩා ඒක ඔටෝමේට් කරන්න පුළුවන් ඒ workflow එක. ඒතකොට එහෙම workflow එකක් ඔටෝමේට් කරලා ඒක තවත් advanced logic එකකින් customize කරන්න ඕන නම් these low code platforms are very much very appropriate and suitable. And then IT departments to solve business problems without full dev teams. I mean, that is also understandable, right? Because they can use these these low code and no code platforms to address these business problems and develop these software products or digital solutions without needing the help of these development teams. Okay. And then students to create complex projects with some scripting. So again, these things are very what do you call අර no code platform එකේ low code platform එකේ තියෙන characteristics ටික ඒවා work කරන විදිය, if you get those things inside your head, you can actually understand why these different type of people need these no code and low code platforms for their requirements. Okay. And why is low code useful for students? Because it introduces coding concepts gradually. Now, imagine going දැන් හිතන්නකෝ මුලින්ම no code platform එකක logic එකක් කියන්නේ මොකද්ද, program එකක logic එකක් කියන්නේ මොකද්ද කියන දේ they are going to understand using a no code platform. And then gradually they are going to move to a low code platform which has these visual drag and drop components as well as a little bit of coding. Okay. And then they can go to full on programming or coding using programming languages. Okay. So එකපාරට programming language එකක් use කරලා coding පුරුදු වෙනවට වඩා ඒකේ logic එක implement වෙන්නේ කොහොමද කියන එක මුලින්ම ඉගෙන ගන්න, it is very appropriate and suitable to use these no code and low code platforms. එතකොට ඒගලන්ට මේ coding වල තියෙන concepts gradually ඒව grab කරගෙන ඉස්සරහට යන්න පුළුවන්. මොකද logic එකක් කියන්නේ මොකද්ද, ඊළඟ program එකේ conditions මත අපි කොහොමද logics දෙන්නේ, decision making කරන්නේ කොහොමද. ඒතර මේ හැම දෙය ගැනම gradually concepts grab කරගන්න ගමන් they can move in the ladder of improving their programming skills using these low code and no code platforms. So no code platforms are programming පොඩ්ඩක්වත් නැහැ. So low code platforms gives a small hint or a small exposure for programming. So by following those steps from no code to low code to and then programming, they can understand the concepts as well as as well as get the practice gradually and successfully by getting the experience in the correct amount. Okay. And then the second one, low code platforms helps to bridge the gap from no code to real programming. So that is also another thing. No code එකේ අර අපි කතා කරපු එකම තමයි. No code එකේ coding නැහැ. Real programming වල obviously that is real programming. So ඒ මැදට low code platform එක ආවට පස්සේ අර දෙකේ තියෙන gap එක address කරන්න we can use these low code platforms. And then enables building real world apps with database and backend logic. So so when we are actually developing a software system using this programming, there are a lot of components that you have to think. Okay. Because there are most of the times a team is developing, so they are developing different components, and then you should integrate them, and then you have to consider about the database and then the backend logic, and then how this backend logic of different components which are developed by different people are connected with each other. That should be considered. All those things should be considered. Okay. So all these things which should be considered are addressed and collectively doable much conveniently than using normal programming if you are using these low code and no code platforms. So because of these reasons, actually, they are very useful for students in these areas. So there, here I included a little what do you call like a Comparison. So no code, is coding required? No. And we know in low code it is minimal and also optional. If you want, you can use. If you don't, you can just use these drag and drop visual components and develop it. And then user target for no code is mostly beginners and non-tech users. But in low code, they actually do target developers and tech-savvy users as well. So speed very fast, but in low code, fast, but involves some coding. So it depends on that as well. And flexibility, this is the very, I think this is the most important feature. So in no code, it is limited to platforms features. ඒ කියන්නේ platform එකේ දෙන options වලට ඒක limited. මොකද coding use කරලා customize කරන්න බෑ. හැබැයි low code platform එකේ it is more flexible than no code because custom logic or fine tuning is possible thanks to the possibility of using these programming languages and do coding. And then there are some examples and use cases also given. So we discussed this from by going through some real world examples as well. So in no code, you can create forms, automation, simple apps, and in low code, scalable apps, enterprise workflows, databases. These things are implementable. So now, දැන් අපි දැන් මේ වෙනකම්ම කතා කරා හරි. අපි දැන් කියනවා කෝඩින් පොඩ්ඩක්වත් යූස් කරන්න නැතුව කෝඩින් වල කෝඩින් යූස් කළ කලින් හදපු ලොකු software solutions digital solutions හදන්න පුළුවන්. Okay. Now it's almost more than an hour. So we were discussing, that's what we were discussing. So we were discussing about two types of platforms which can do things which were done using coding but without using coding, right? So, if you're not writing any code, how is the app actually working? Anyone with an idea about that? Then, අනිවාර්යෙන්, definitely to instruct a computer or a machine. I mean, මේ අපි use කරන ඔක්කොම digital products or digital solutions, they run using a machine or like a computer or a system or a device. Okay, those are just devices. So, to instruct these devices, we use coding. Okay. So අපි coding use කළා තමයි මේ device වල මෙච්චර කල් instruct කරලා මේ systems හදලා මේ හැමදේම කරේ. මේ digitalization එක උනේ. එතකොට දැන් මේ coding කියන දේ තමයි අපි මේ use කරන දේ machine එකට instruct කරන්න. Because the machine can't think of its own. It's just a machine. A human should instruct the machine on what to do. That is what we were doing using this coding. Okay. And that is how we develop these systems and got our work done. So now, and we are telling, okay, we can get done the same thing, but you don't have to do coding. But now you should be confused, right? Okay, so coding is the way that we are talking with the or instructing the system, the device or the computer or the machine. So if I'm not writing any code, how is the app actually working? Who writes the code? What's going behind the scene? So, ඒක අනිවාර්යෙන් හිතන්න ඕනේ, right? So, what is that? So, what is happening is, even though you don't do coding or even though you do a minimal coding but not all the coding, in the back end of these low code and low code platforms, automatically the code is added. It's just that you are not writing the code. That is the difference. Of course, definitely, obviously, the coding is there. Okay, the coding is added. Okay, so ඔයගොල්ලෝ මොකක් හරි block එකක් drag කරලා logic එක create කරද්දී ඒකට අදාළ code එක පිටිපස්සෙන් automatically add වෙනවා. It's just you are not the person who's writing the code. That is the difference. Okay, so let's go through this. The pre-built components, drag and drop. So no-code platforms come with ready-made building blocks like buttons, forms, pages, charted, animations, or logic. So logic means if this then that. Okay, කියන්නේ හරි මේක මෙහෙම වුණොත් ඊළඟට මේ දේ වෙන්න. හරිද? If this is this then that. That is simply the analogy of this logic. Okay. That is what we were talking. I mean, I was repeatedly telling the word logic and logic. So that is what actually is behind that. So, මේ තියෙන එක building blocks represent කරනවා මේ එක logics. So what happens is when you drag a block, the no code or the low code platform secretly adds the code in the background. Okay, it might be HTML, it might be JavaScript, Python, or whatever it is needed. You don't see it. Okay, that is the difference. But it doesn't mean that coding is not involved. Okay, coding is involved, but it's just you are not dealing with it or you are not writing it. It's just the platform is responsible for that, and platform is secretly adding the code in the background when you drag the block. Okay, ඔවා එකට logic එකට අදාළ block එක විතරක් අදිනවා ඇදලා නිකන් ලස්සන structure එක create කරනවා. එතකොට in the background the code is getting added. So that is how these no code apps and low code apps are working. And then we have visual interfaces. So you build everything by clicking, dragging, and selecting, not typing code. The platform translates your actions into working code automatically. That's what I was explaining. So you are just doing these uh, dragging and clicking and selecting all these things visually in the visual interface like moving building blocks, but the platform is translating all these logics and actions into working code in behind secretly without you seeing or involving. And then the templates and logic. So most no-code tools let you choose from templates, and then you have to set up logic flows. So as an example, when this button is clicked, show this message. So that is a logic. Okay. So that is like a template. That is like a already set up template. So you choose it, but the code relevant to that logic is also there. You are just not getting involved. That is the only thing. So database and backend setup. So many platforms handle storage and data for you. You don't have to manually set up a server or a database. The platform connects everything behind the scenes. That's what I was telling. Can you remember I told you අපි software අපි programming use කරලා develop කරද්දී handle කරන්න ඕනේ හරි address කරන්න ඕනේ හරි ගොඩක් දේවල් conveniently collectively address කරනවා behind the scenes මේ no code and low code platforms. අපි normal programming කරද්දී එහෙම නෙමෙයි. අපි database එක ගැන හිතන්න ඕනේ, integrate කරන්නේ කොහොමද, ඒ දේවල් අපි වෙනම consider කරනවා. ඊළඟ deployment එක අපිට මේක තරම් conveniently කරගන්න බෑ. හැබැයි using these no code and low code platforms, it is much more easier. And then hosting and publishing. So when you are done building your system, you just click publish and the app or website is live because the platform handles hosting, security, and performance for you. Okay, so that is why they are better. So no code and low code platforms are like having a full development team actually hidden behind the curtain. Okay, you just design the visual part. I mean, you just design the logic visually, and the platform writes, tests, connects, and even hosts everything for you. Okay, you are just designing the logic on the front, in the front, and in the back end, all these codes are added automatically, secretly, without your involvement, and your system is getting created. That is how it is happening. So don't ever think that no code and low code platforms work without codes. Okay, they do work with codes. Codes are used. The codes are the ones actually running. Codes are the things which are actually running behind and getting these things which you need done or created or developed. But it's just you don't have to do the coding or you don't have to develop or write it using these programming languages like programming coding lines. You don't have to write it. That is the thing. Okay, but in the back end, these platforms, they are getting the programming lines or coding lines, codes added as per the requirement that you give using these drag and drop or visual interfaces or these building blocks. So now we are going to go to we are going to do some we are going to go to one of the platforms that I told you we are going to go to Zapier, and then let's see what Zapier is and how these things are working. Okay. So I told you so Zapier is a no code automation tool. Okay. ඒ කියන්නේ අපි දැන් කතා කරා එක එක විදිහේ tools තියෙනවා. එක එක දේවල් කරන්න, mobile apps කරන්න, websites හදන්න, games හදන්න, ඊළඟට ඊළඟට ඒ වගේම අපි කතා කරා automate කරන්න to automate the repetitive tasks. එතකොට ඒ වගේ automations කරගන්න අපිට use කරන්න පුළුවන් tool එකක් තමයි Zapier කියන්නේ. So it is a no code automation tool. You don't have to do any coding. So it allows you to connect 2 or more apps. Actually, just keep in your mind these 2 or more apps means those are actually very, very popular apps. ඔගලන් මේ already use කරන දන්න ගොඩාක් popular apps use කරලා ඔගලන්ට automate workflows හදාගන්න පුළුවන් using Zapier. Okay. And keep in your mind these are some of the important keywords. SAPs. So these automations are called SAPs. එතකොට මේ මොකක් හරි workflow එකක් automate කරලා ඒ හදන automated workflow එකට we are calling them as SAPs. Okay. And then there are 2 important key concepts, trigger and action. So you have to define this trigger and action. That is what you have to do. And the automation is happening. So you have to define the trigger. So you have to set something which starts the automation. Okay. So the thing which starts the automation or triggers the automation is, we call it as the trigger. And then the action is what happens after trigger. As an example, someone fills out the form and as a result, an email is sent. So what is the trigger? Filling out the form. And what is the action? The email is sent. Okay. So these 3 keywords are very important. SAPs, trigger, and then action. So Zapier, automation without coding. So I told you these codes are these apps which are used in this Zapier to make these automated workflows, they are very, very popular apps, I told you. So Zapier let you connect app likes Google Forms, Gmail, Sheets to create workflows without writing any code. We'll go through an example and you will see. Now, the second one. So they use triggers and actions. We discussed those concepts. So every workflow is called a SAP and it works like when this happens, do this. That is the thing which is happening. That is the thing that you have to keep in your mind. හරි මේ දේ වුණොත් මේක වෙන්න ඕනේ. එතකොට මේ දේ කියන්නේ මොකද්ද? trigger එක. ඒ දේ වුණාම වෙන්න අවශ්‍ය දේ මොකද්ද? ඒක තමයි අපි action එක කියලා කියන්නේ. When the form is submitted, send an email. So in this example, what is the trigger? The trigger is submitting the form. What is the action? Sending the email. So it connects 6,000 plus apps. So that means it supports thousands of popular apps from YouTube to Slack, Instagram to Google Drive. You can automate almost anything. And then it saves times by automating repetitive tasks. No more copying and pasting. It can save your time in school, work, even hobbies. Because the thing is, ගොඩාක් areas වල දේවල් automate කරන්න පුළුවන්. මොකද එයා support කරනවා ගොඩාක් popular apps which are all over everything. Okay. And it has a very beginner friendly interface. You don't have to install anything or know how to code. It's just done through a clean step-by-step web interface. Now, I want you all to open or go to Zapier.com and create an account. And then we can go to our first, what do you call, the first SAP to create our first automated workflow. Okay, and I'm going to show you and I'm going to give you some time to get it done. So now this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to create automated workflow. Okay. එතකොට මම හදනවා SAP එකක්. එතකොට මම ක්‍රියේට් කරනවා Google form එකක්. ඒ Google form එකට මට response එකක් ආවට පස්සේ Google form එකේ තියෙන දැන් මම Google form එකක් ක්‍රියේට් කරනවා. ඒ Google form එකේට එන responses ඔක්කොම upload වෙන්න හරි include වෙන්න මම spreadsheet එකක link කරනවා. ඒතර Google form එකට කවුරු කෙනෙක් response එක දාපු ගමන් ඒ details ටික ඔක්කොම අර spreadsheet එකට වැටෙනවා. එතකොට ඒ spreadsheet එක අලුත් ඒ වගේ response එකක් එකතු වෙච්ච ගමන්ම මට පුළුවන් email එකක් මට අවශ්‍ය කෙනෙක්ට email අවශ්‍ය විදිහට මට ඒක configure කරන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ අවශ්‍ය කෙනෙක් විදිහට email එක යන විදිහට මට ඒක create කරන්න පුළුවන්. එතකොට මම මේ workflow එක හැදුවට පස්සේ එතන ඉහාට මම create කරන ඒකතන ඉහාට මම form එකට response එකක් දෙන්න ඕන කෙනෙක් form එතන ඉහාට ඒ form එකට එන response එකක් පාසා or every time I get a response to that Google form, an email is going to be sent and it will be implemented without using any line of code and we can test it. Okay. Now let me share my browser. Okay. So I hope it is visible. So now I have created my account. Okay. So I have created my account and I hope now it is visible to you. So here you can see this is the home page. Okay. And here I have this thing called SAPs. I'm going to go there. So these are some of the things that I have already tried. You will see. So here when you go to this SAPs, you can see the already created SAPs which I have created. Okay. So now what I'm going to create a new app. So I'm going to click on create and SAPs. You can see there are many more options and many more visible things, possible things. But I'm just creating an automated workflow, but you can see and you can do your own research because now you know, and I mean, now you got an idea what a no-code local platform is. So now do your own research and go through these thousands of possible options and get yourself familiar by the and get yourselves familiar and get the use of the actual power of these kind of platforms. Now you can see there are two parts, trigger and action. Here they are asking you to select the event that starts your SAP and then select the event for your SAP to run. Okay. මේකෙන් තමයි මගේ SAP එක පටන් ගන්නෙ. මේක තමයි මේක වුණාම වෙන්නේ මොකද්ද? මේ action එක. Now I have to and keep in your mind you can add many more steps as much as you need. It depends on your requirement. But now I'm going to just create a trigger and an action and show you how it is working. So what do we have to, what are we now doing? We are going to have like a Google form, and Google Forms did as I mean, anytime when this form is getting a new response, it is going to send an email to the person that I'm going to specify now. I mean, it depends on your requirement. Click on this trigger. Okay. Now, when you click on trigger, you can select the app. Okay. You can select the app which you need to uh, which you need to make your trigger. Okay. Now here what is the trigger? What the trigger is Google Forms. Why? Because I am going to create something. I'm going to send an email when I get another new response to my Google form. Okay, so what is the relevant or the app which is connected with this trigger? It is Google Forms. When you select it, you can see there's this box appearing here, and then app is selected here. Now you have to click on trigger event. Now, okay, when you trigger event, what is it? New form triggers when a new form response is this is what I want නේ මට ඕනේ අලුත් response එකක් ආවම email එක යන විදියට. හරි. එතකොට මම මේක select කරනවා. Now here you have to select like an account. Now here Google form here the account is selected as my Gmail account is selected. You have to select it. If you want, you can click from here and change it. But I'm not going to I'm not going to change it because my Gmail is the one which my Google account is the one that I'm going to use. Okay, and then you can you choose your preferred Google account and click on continue. Now in the configure, now I have to select the form. දැන් මම form එකකට response එකක් අලුතෙන් ආවහම email එක යන විදියට හදන්නේ හරි. දැන් මෙතන specify කරන්න ඕනේ what is that form because you have to choose a Google form. Here, okay, I'm going to select this is now keep in your mind this is the Google form I have already created. Google form මම already create කරලා තියෙන්නේ. So you can create a Google form and click on this. Now, Zapier event registration. I have created a Google form named Zapier event registration, and now I specified here. Okay, every time that I get a response to this Google form, I need to send an email. Okay, now I specified that form. Now continue. Now we are going to test it, but before testing, now you can test it, but the next part is not yet. The action is not yet configured. So yeah. Okay, you are testing it. To test it, they are going to now a new response should be there. No, a new record. A new record should be there in that Google sheet, which is responsible to the form. Okay. So now they tell we found records in your Google Forms account. we will load up 3 more recent records that have not appeared previously. Okay. Okay. They have selected a certain record which is already there because this is a testing, and continue with the selected record. Now when I click that, you can see this box is appearing again. Now what is this box? This box is appeared to select the app which is connected to the action of my SAP. දැන් මම ෆෝම් එක ෆිල් කරාට පස්සේ මට වෙන්න ඕනේ මොකද්ද? ඊමේල් එකක් යන එක. එතකොට ඒ ඊමේල් එකට අදාළ app එක මොකද්ද? It's Gmail. You have to click on Gmail. Now I have to configure the things here. Action event. Okay, what should I now look at this. There are many things you can specify, but what do I need? I need to send an email. So my action event is send an email. Again, my Google account is selected here. That is the one which I'm going to use. Okay, and there are some now when you're going to send an email as the action, you have to configure all these things. So these things are, I mean, there are things which are required. You should, I mean, this can you see these orange color stars? So those fields are mandatory fields. You can't keep them blank. So I'm going to use I'm going to I'm going to recall definitely make them not blank. So let's see. So subject. Okay, what is subject I'm going to put to my email? New registration. Yeah, that is the way that I'm going to give the subject of my email. And then body. Let's write it. A new registration added. Body is needed, obviously. And then okay, CC from reply to, let's say, continue. Now I have selected the I have configured the email. I mean, I have configured what I want, and I have given the registration. I mean, the subject, and then the body, and then I'm going to wait. I'm okay. Yes, that is what I want to check. So here I have to give the email that I want to get my. I mean, now you are going to select a certain person to send the email, no? So that email address should be specified here. Going to give an email address. This is going to be my personal email address. Okay, and I'm going to continue. Okay, so then they give like a preview of the message that is going to get created. Okay, test step. Now, if this test is successful, I have to get an email. Let's see whether I have received an email now. Here, you can see a new registration added. I have received an email. Now, can you see? Now you can see. Now I let's rename this like with the proper name. Okay, email for form responses, and I'm going to publish it. Publish means now this SAP is going to go live and it is going to work. Now your SAP is on, and you can transfer. Now you can transfer the existing data, and then you can, when you give new more responses, what is going to happen? It is going to send an email. Now it is your time. Now you have to create your Sapphire account, and first, now it's 7:30 until 7:45 or 7:50. You can try this, and then we'll try another example as well. Okay. This is not the form. I am trying to find the form that was here. Now every time response is getting, I have to get a. So try on your own. I'm submitting a response to my form. Okay, they have received your registration. This is the response that I gave. It will take some time. Sometimes it takes, and I should get the okay. Let's see here. Look at this. I got the email. Can you see? I implemented the logic. Now this is happening. Now, I mean, this is something, this is a very, very simple step. Okay, but I just want you all to understand how this is working and what is meant by a trigger and an action and what is meant by a SAP, and how these popular apps like Google Forms, I mean, Google products are like very popular apps, and how those things can be connected, and you can make your own, your personal workflows automated using this no code platform. I mean, I didn't use even a single line of code, but I got this done, right? මේ වගේ දෙයක් ඉස්සර නම් සිස්ටම් එකක් හදද්දි they have to type it, they have to write codes, okay, they have to සිස්ටම් එකක් හදලා සිස්ටම් එකේ කෝඩ් එකක රිසල්ට් එකක් විදිහට තමයි මේ වගේ දෙයක් කරන්න පුළුවන්. But now it is completely doable without writing a single line of code. So the but I told it, what I told in Sinhala is right, like these kind of automative tasks, they used to be done as results of backend codes which were implemented using programming languages and coding. So but now these tasks, you can see I didn't use even a single line of code. It's just a nice visual interface where just I have to use these dragging and drops and selecting some options, configuring using, like, in very visual representative way, and my task is done. Now every time I get a response for that Google form which I specified in the uh, trigger, I get an email. Now you saw, right? I mean, even when I gave a new response to my form and I got an email. So now it's your time. Take your time and do it on your own. So, this question, do we have to create the Google form with the same Gmail account? So now when you're configuring the trigger, so the form is connected with the trigger, no? So in the trigger, you are using a certain Google form, right? So that Google form is there under a certain Google account, no? That Google account should be mentioned there. So to send the email also, uh, you can, I mean, when you are going to send the email, that for the two part, you can select the email that you want to send the email to. So in my case, I have used the same Google account to create the Google Forms, and then also to as also as the sender of the email, I chose the same Google account, and then to receive the email, I chose another. I mean, I can choose another email, but here I use the same email for that as well. But if you submitted a form with that trigger email account, submitted a form. Okay. Will you receive it? So now here's the thing. Now you are asking me whether you are going to submit a Google form with the same account that the Google form was created, right? Because trigger email account means the email account. So let's actually, yeah. So that is not possible. So when you create a Google form using a Google account, you are going to be the publisher of that Google form. Okay, so you won't be a responder because you own the Google form. So responses should be not using the publisher, because publisher is the person who's creating the Google form. We call it him or her as the owner of the Google form. So when you're giving responses, try to give it from some other, yes, try to give it from some other Google account. You're welcome. So I got a message saying it is done. So I hope it is working. So making a mobile app. So So actually today I have come prepared with using these, I mean prepared to we are going to do these automative tasks. So mobile app is another. Now, can you remember we discussed about different types of no code platforms? That means different types of no code platforms, which are used for different tasks. So one of these are this type that you are talking about, mobile app builders. So, but Zapier is not something which is used for that. Zapier is mainly used for these repetitive tasks, automative tasks. Okay, so so you need more time or well, nice. Okay, so now can you try out this? Now this is one. I mean, now I told you there are like about 9,000 apps which are connectable using these Zapier, right? So what if we create? I mean, you have to create a Zapier, a SAP using Zapier using Google Sheets and emails. I mean, it is same, but a little bit. I think it's just the configuring part of the app. So the second part is same. So as whenever not now this time not only a new record, okay, but now also this is not Google Forms. In Google Sheets, when a new row or existing row is updated, you can create a SAP to send an email. So now try whether you can do that. So you have to first configure your uh, trigger and then action. So now you can see the configurations that I have done in the box next to the uh, in the left right side of my screen. So one has sent me an update saying that it's done. So I hope others are also working on it. Yeah, so if you tried it with Copilot, you will see how easy it is, right? You don't even have to drag and drop. So I mean, yeah, it's that much easier now. So the development has gone to that level. So these tasks which were done as, which were developed as or created as results of programming, coding, and you don't even now have to think or like go to any kind of a depth. You just have to think what you need and get it created. So that is how much advanced this technology is right now. So I will share my slides. So I hope it is visible. So can you try this second one, the reminder creator using Zapier? What do you mean by the event thing? So that means you know that in the Google Calendar you create events. Like in Google Calendar, there are options where you can go and create events. Okay, it might be a meeting or whatever it is. There are different options, and you can select a certain date and then select a time slot, and you can create an event. Okay, so I want you to create a reminder creator so that every time this Google form is triggered, that means a response is submitted, the Google Calendar creates an event. So, can you answer my question? So, in the chat, just put now when we take Google Forms and Google Calendar, what is that responsible for trigger and what is that responsible for action? That's a very easy question. So, what is the app relevant for the trigger and then for the action? Any idea about that? So the question is now in the task that I put in the chat, okay, in the app that I wanted to create, as I mentioned in the chat. So there are two apps which are responsible, one for the trigger of the app and one for the action of the app. So what are those two apps? Yes, I got one. No. Trigger is not the Google Calendar. Trigger is the app which is responsible. So as per my definition, who creates the trigger? It's the Google form. So the app which is responsible for the trigger is the Google form. It is the app which is responsible of starting this app. When we get a response for the Google form only, it is going to create the calendar event. Yes, this sounds is correct. Okay. Were you able to do it? So I can, or else I can show it. Now, okay, look at this. So this is what I wanted you all to do. Now, what was my question? So my question was to now every time I create every time I give a new every time I receive a new response for the Google form that I specify, I want to create a certain at that time I want to create a calendar event. So first of all, you have to identify what is the uh, app which is relevant to the trigger, and then what is the app which is relevant for the action. So here it is very clear. Google form, new response in a Google form is the one which is going to trigger it. So obviously it is going to be the trigger responsible app. What is it? Google form. And then Google Calendar is going to be the app which is responsible for the action. So here, as we did in the previous examples as well. So I have clicked on my trigger, and then I have configured it. So in this box, you can see as the app, I have selected Google Forms, and new form response is this trigger event, and I have selected a Google account. And then in the next part, I have selected the needed what do you call the Google form. Okay, that can be as per your preference, whatever Google form that you need. And then in the text, when I was creating this, I went to the text part. Okay, when I click on this, here it was done, and it pulled an already existing record in my Google form because this is a testing. And when I selected on that, I got the option to configure my action. Okay, so in the action, in the setup, you have to select Google Calendar as your app. And then action event, I selected as quick add event. Okay, so quick add event, there are many. So there you can have create detail event and quick add event. So in create detailed event, you have to give details for each and every field. So the bigger than that, it is easier to, to go with the quick add event. So I selected that. And then you have to click on continue. And then here you have to select another, again, the Google account, which you need to have the Google Calendar update in. And then describe event, I gave it as new event. So attendees, it's up to you to do it. I mean, it is not, can you see there's no star, so it is not mandatory. And then you can click on continue. And then I tested this. Okay, when this was tested, and calendar event was created in my Google Calendar. Look at this. So this is my Google Calendar of the account that I specified. Here you can see this calendar event is created as an result. So that is what I wanted to, but what I wanted you to do. So can you see now this was done without using any code. It's just I was just designing the flow of the logic in this visual or visually represented interface. That's it, and then I can publish it. So testing was done. Now I publish it. Now every time I have to trans existing data. So trans existing data helps to it helps the platform to identify newly adding records to the Google form. Okay, the because existing data is transferred. Okay, from here onwards, when I get a new response to my form, I should create a calendar event. Now let's see. So now I'm going to again give a response. Okay, now I'm going to go and open the form from here. I hope I have the, no, I don't. So this is not the form. So wait. So I'm going to show you. Okay, this is the form. This is the publisher account. So I'm going to. I went through the correct one, right? Okay. So name, email. I'm just typing something. Organization. On a submit. Now I should get the event created in my email. Now you can see. Can you see the new event got created? So this is what I want you all to implement. So take your time and try to get it done. So if you're done, you can I mean you can try out more examples, and you can try out more activities, and you can try out more type of apps. So we used Google Forms, Google Spreadsheets, and Google Calendar, Gmail. So all of these apps we use. We used four Google apps in today's session. So you can go forward, and there are more apps, there are more popular apps which can be used in this Zapier platform to create your automative workflows. So you can go and try them out. How making an app profitable? How to make a profit? I don't get the question. Can you elaborate a bit? So till you elaborate, I will carry on. So so that is how we used SAPs which were creatable using Zapier to create all these small workflows. But I told you it is not just one action and one trigger. There are many more steps which you can add, and when which you can customize. So we gave you the introduction, and we gave you a small start to the type of these low code and no code platforms, and how they work, and how the back end of these no code and low code platforms work. We discussed that as well. So starting from that, now you have to take the lead and go and get yourself exposed to these different types of platform examples which I introduced to you today. So yes, so from that uh, we can wrap up the session. So these are the hand-on activities that we tried actually. Yes, so these are the hand-on track, some of the hand-on activities that we tried. So so before ending the session, so I'll answer the question that I received as I understand. How making an app is profitable? How to make a profit? So so these software solutions are now these software solutions are created or developed to address very critical or very important, and now not only to critical and important, but to most of the day-to-day activities also we have digital solutions. Okay, so that those digital solutions makes the lives of people much more easier, efficient, and friendly, right? So, I mean, not friendly, convenient. Okay, so because of that, these digital solutions for these real world problems, providing digital solutions for the real world problems is very important and very in demand. So that has a huge value. So if you can create a certain app which addresses a real world problem or a day-to-day problem of a certain type of, it can be a category of people or like every human, or it can be a very small subgroup, whatever it is. If you can create a digital solution which will be very important to that relevant problem which is identified, you can earn a huge profit from that app. because people are going to use it, they are going to love it. And you can, like now, now there are, like, take YouTube as an example. There's a free version, there's a premium version, right? So every time people use this pro version, where they have much more advanced and much more user friendly features, uh there's the owners of the app, or the people who are behind the app, they get the profit. So they identified one of the key aspects of humans, which is entertainment, right? So and then they made an app, and which is still developing, and in development, they are continuously developing the app to make it more user friendly and to make it attracted by people. So that is just something. This is just one example, one successful example. But other than that, likewise, the first important task is you have to identify a good problem which is not yet addressed by any of the digital solutions, and then create that digital solution to address that problem which you identify, to cater that problem, so that you can make the life of that people, I mean, so that you can make that problem addressed, and that digital solution can act as a solution for that problem which was identified. So from that, you can create an app which will be very high in demand, and which will be profitable. So we can't earn something from the free version, right? Not exactly like the pro version, but yeah. So on behalf of SLESA, so I extend my heartfelt gratitude to each and every one of you. So I hope today's interaction and today's session was a huge success, and you all contributed by doing these activities, and giving these questions. You made it very successful and engaging. So first, I would like to express our sincere appreciation uh, to Dr. Vendra Dissanayake, and so thank you so much for this engaging session, and I hope to see y'all. We hope to see y'all again in the upcoming sessions that we have planned. So you saw that we have planned like a lot of workshops, which are going to be some of the most interesting topics in at present. So hoping to come back with one of those topics again. Thank you.